welcome back, sports fans, to another episode of Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. This is episode 23 of season 4. We are well on our way. We are going to close this out. We are leading up to the Super Bowl, the event of all events, of course. But before we get that far, real quick, I'd be doing ourselves a disservice if I didn't say you can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the great platforms. You can also find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms and in the search bar type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF, and we'll pop right up for your listening pleasure. I'm getting too good at that. It's getting scary. RPF, how you doing, my friend?
I was just thinking that segment is literally the only time you've ever spoken as fast as I do. Like, you kind of go, hey, Spotify, Bobby. You're like, it's very funny. My influence has finally rubbed off on you. It's funny. I'm excited.
Finally.
This is like the best week. You know, this is like the anticipation when Santa's coming down for Christmas, or when, this is like the Super Bowl. I remember as a kid when the Dolphins were actually in contention a lot for the Super Bowl week. It was always like the best week, just trying to figure out the angles, who's going to win, and all the hoopla. Now, with social media and everything, it's become almost like too much, too much preview, too much stuff. But it's still exciting. So, and these two teams at this time in their crossing is seemingly a very, very good matchup too. So that should be good.
Yeah, I think it should be. To your point there, you kind of said in their matchup as they are sort of each team where they are in their own franchisal journey, if you will. You've got kind of two great storylines where one team in the Chiefs is either going to propel themselves into complete like dynasty talk, and whereas the other team, the 49ers, could potentially put themselves in the same talk as like. Obviously, they won a bunch of Super Bowls back with Joe Montana, but recently they could put themselves into the talk of like the Buffalo Bills, where they're good and they just keep getting there, but nothing really happens.
Correct.
So I do think there are some great motivators on both sides. With that said, RPF, let's go ahead and dive into it.
Well, let's break it down.
I don't think we need to cover anything.
No, I think. Go ahead. Sorry, trying to interject. Yeah, but I think. This game, like any other game, look, ultimately, after all the noise and the din of distraction and excitement that happens with this game, it ultimately boils down to what? X's and O's, right? It's still a game.
Yep.
So let's break it down. If you and I were coaching, God help them, the teams. This is how.
Oh boy.
Can you imagine? Travis, shake it off, man. No. Anyway, just. Low hanging fruit there for me. I couldn't. You have to excuse me, Taylor Swift. Just opened her first concert in Tokyo, so I'm still a little bleary eyed from all the streaming I was watching of it. Anyway, all right. Listen, I'm a Swiftie. I'm a proud Swiftie. All right, quarterback.
I know you are.
This is a quarterback-led league. No surprise there. When we're doing a side-by-side comparison. Brock Purdy and all the MVP talk and all that stuff, and he's like the last guy picked in the draft, and from last to best and all that stuff. Great, that story's yet to be written. Until proven otherwise, Mahomes is that guy. So Mahomes definitely has the advantage from experience, from just being Mahomes. Frankly, for talent, Mahomes is a better quarterback. But I think in that sense, the Chiefs have a clear advantage at quarterback.
Yeah, to your point, when you talk about experience, and this is something that Tom Brady obviously went through as well. But like they were mentioning this past week how Patrick Mahomes has a Super Bowl week routine. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a point where you get to where you've been there so many times, it's another week to you, and that is a massive advantage in my opinion.
I agree, and so much so that anyway. And I think that's true. And even for the whole team, it's funny. I was thinking, how's Las Vegas going to go? It's a bit like having Super Bowl in Miami. All of a sudden, all the players are in South Beach, like until 4 a.m. So what they've done is that they've put both teams in. And I used to live in Las Vegas, but they put them in Lake Las Vegas, which is 20 minutes away. They still have a casino and stuff, but it's like kind of like where your aunt goes to play It's not exactly MGM Grand or anything. It's not the Mohegan Sun.
Right,
It's
right.
definitely like where like
Right.
you hear like Ernie, give me more quarters for the slot machine. That's the casino that they have there. Um, so I mean, it's a little. I can imagine Travis Kelce and Mahomes trying to like get into trouble at 2 a.m. They're like, I'll be back in my room. I'll see you then. I'll see you tomorrow. So anyway, it's a very funny, deliberate thing that both teams did. It was just very, very funny. Get off the
Yeah.
script, Anyway, so quarterback,
Yep.
Mahomes,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't think there's any much more to say about it, really, because that's really is. I mean, and for Mahomes,
No.
by the way,
It's
the
not
little
even an
asterisk,
argument.
it's not. For the little asterisks here, Mahomes, being Mahomes, still had arguably one of the worst wide receiving pair. First of all, I argue the worst wide receivers
Yeah.
ever to lead the team into the Super Bowl, by having the most drop passes, by having just clearly like brain moments and during the games that they just dropped passes. And Mahomes still considered by far the better quarterback. So in my opinion. All right. Then we go
Yeah.
into the tight ends. This is tricky. I mean, yes, Travis Kelce is all world, all everything.
This is very tricky.
This is tricky. This is tricky. But having said all that, this is not a career achievement category. This is like breakdown for this game at this moment. Travis Kelce, in my opinion, would have been a little less under George Kittle for the 49ers, equally incredible tight end, with a little bit less. If Kittle was playing in a different era without Travis Kelce, Kittle would be Travis Kelce, right? He'd be the man everyone was talking about. But Kittle has this intangible quality that he's a big game player. He's definitely going to do everything he can. And Travis Kelce did that last week in the championship game when it really counted the most. He became Travis Kelce, 11
Yep.
for 11, like we talked about last week. But out of those 11, 6 were just extraordinary great catches that not every human can do at that position. So this to me is the one legitimate, not a cop-out, legitimate tie. It's a tie to me. It depends who steps up, which quarterback finds them better, and in what situation they're in. But I think both of those players, if the both teams are driving to win the game at the end, they're the key for that to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is extremely close. Where I will say is I will give the nod to Travis Kelce. In being, I think talent wise, I think at the moment George Kittle is better. Travis Kelce, like, listen, he's in his 30s. I know that. It's at that position. It's the same thing Gronk went through. When you're that big and you're at that position, taking all those hits, you start to slow down. But where he separates himself from George Kittle is because of what you just mentioned, is because of Patrick Mahomes and because of Patrick's reliance upon him. So who's going to have the bigger game? In my opinion, Travis Kelce by far, because Brock Purdy has Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk to do all these other things with, whereas Patrick Mahomes, much like a couple of years when it was Gronk and Brady didn't have too many other weapons, Patrick Mahomes is going to be like, Travis, where are you? Like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Do you remember? Do you remember? Yeah. No, say go ahead. I was remembering just the last drive of Cooper Kupp when he grabbed 11 straight passes from what's his name from
right exactly
from the Rams quarterback.
Yeah.
He literally and everyone knew the ball was going to Cooper Kupp. No one could stop him. The same kind of thing could happen here. Yeah.
No one could stop it. Yeah. Exactly, and that's why exactly that, and that's why I give the edge to Kelce over Kittle.
Okay, I'm a tie, but I'm leaning in a little bit for Travis Kelce as well. Running back,
yeah.
I think there's no question here. Christian McCaffrey is superhuman, and he'll do whatever it takes. He'll take your laundry out. He'll run the ball. He'll pass it. He'll literally do whatever it needs to be done to get the job done. And you can stop him for 2/3 of the game, but you're not stopping him every play. So that's the play that will break the game open possibly. Yeah. So it's Christian McCaffrey in a walk here, in my opinion.
It is definitely Christian McCaffrey. However, don't sleep on Pacheco. The guy is explosive and he's lightning, and it's like he's fun to watch. So
he's fun to watch.
But you're right.
For sure.
It's a hands down.
Yeah. And for wide receivers, I just previewed it. Surprise, is by far the 49ers. Not only are the Kansas City Chiefs basically playing girls lacrosse at wide receiver, I have no idea what's happening with the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers. I mean, oh my goodness. But Deebo Samuel and Ayuk are the only other duo in the NFL besides my beloved Dolphins of Tyreek Hill and Waddle, who have two of the top 13 wide receivers in by the raw numbers, right? By the stats. So Deebo Samuel and Ayuk are a duo that just behind Tyreek and Waddle, no team wants to face. So and this is the widest separation of any position, including quarterback, that there is between the wide receivers of the Niners and the wide receivers of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So you agree with that, I suppose?
Yeah, I do. And to take it even one step further, Deebo Samuel, who has traditionally been sort of the Swiss Army type of wide receiver, where every now and then he'll line up in the backfield and he'll take handoffs and he'll do all these crazy things. I have to imagine that Kyle Shanahan has some plays up his sleeves in regards to where he puts Samuel and how he uses him that we haven't seen yet this year. He's been kind of holding out for this moment. I'd have to imagine.
Well, we remember who came up with those plays for Deebo Samuel was Coach McDaniel for the Dolphins. So I'm thinking maybe he's getting a call this week. Hey, listen, what was that play again that you drew up in the back of a napkin at Chili's? You said that Deebo goes left and he jukes right. Christian goes right. And McDaniel might be that type of coach that said, "Yeah, I'll give you one play. Here it is." so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Then we get into the big boys, the offensive line. The Chiefs are just just big boys, man. They protect Mahomes. And Mahomes, by the way, it's a double whammy because not only do they protect him in his blind side, he actually, and who's more of a Nureyev ballet escape artist than Mahomes, who can make anything happen. Him and Lamar Jackson are the two people who separate themselves, and Lamar just goes, he goes for yards, where Mahomes just goes to save his life and extend the play and wait for his receivers to be open so they can drop the pass. So anyway, I think by far the offensive line here for the Chiefs is superior.
Yeah, I'll give the nod to them. I won't go as far as to say by far, but I'll give the nod to them. I think that's fair.
Okay, good. All right. And on the defensive line, 2 words for you: Nick and Bosa. Sorry. So the Niners are completely, to me, I mean, look, they're both solid enough, obviously, in their Super Bowl. But the defensive line, if everything's being equal, and I have a Nick Bosa on one side, I'm playing on his time. I'm playing on his. I don't want to be chased by Nick Bosa at any, well, not at least in the football game. I do not want to be chased by Nick Bosa for most reasons. But when he's angry at me for something. Although we did mention that if he does catch you, he just gently put you down like a baby in a crib, which is very nice. But I will say, as a defensive player of the year,
it's almost like humiliating. It's almost humiliating the way he does it.
I think
he comes at you smacks you, and then he's like,
I think he should
go to sleep.
He should lay it down and then swaddle you like a baby. Like do a swaddle, or have a rattle. Anyway, Nick Bosa tips the scale to me. The defensive line is I'm clearly leaning towards the 49ers there.
You had the tight ends at a dead heat. I might go defensive lines at a dead heat for me. I mean, you can't forget about Chris Jones on the Kansas City side, who's been an absolute disruption machine. So it's hard for me to pick a clear winner on these two. So I think you had your tight end dead heat. I'm gonna take a defensive line dead heat.
That's fair. Okay. All right. Then we go to the linebackers. 2 words for you again: Fred Warner. So the 49ers to me are the better.
Yeah.
They have those 2 linebackers. You have to throw the ball, you have to run the ball, and hopefully to get some separation, or you have to throw past past the coverage of linebackers because Fred Warner is going to stop every run at every time he can. So it's going to be a tough sledding for, I believe, the Chiefs to run, even though there could be one or two runs that break out. But I'm definitely giving the edge to linebackers to the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm in agreement here. Fred Warner is an absolute beast. I mean, he's all over the place. I feel like every single play, does he tackle? Does he make every tackle? I'm not.
Every tackle.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, every tackle.
He's
every
everywhere.
Tackle. Yeah.
Oh, Hail Mary! Oh, there's Fred Warner.
But the Chiefs come back here with the cornerbacks. They have a couple of those cornerbacks, Snead and McDuffie, that are really. They're physical. They drape over you. Even keeping the Dolphins to no points in their playoff game. I mean, it's hard to without. Remember, the Dolphins have that offense, right? And I don't care what the conditions are, to keep them basically shut out for a whole half. When the Dolphins were behind and passing the ball, that's good cornerbacking as well. So I think Snead and McDuffie are the kind of the the gold stars of the Chiefs defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. L'Jarius Sneed is definitely is definitely on top of what he's doing. So and like you said, to shut down the Dolphins, granted, weather whatever, to hold them to this such, what is it? Was it 7 points? I think
I can't think
about it.
Remember. I was just missing the 70 points.
Was that 9 years ago?
That was talk about 9 years ago. Does the Broncos 70-point output feel like 10 years ago? I mean, oh my God, when the Dolphins put up 70 points, it feels like a different decade. It feels like
it does.
It feels like, remember when Dan Marino put 70 points on the Denver Broncos? It's very funny. For safeties, I have the 49ers. I think they're tough. I don't want to be tackled by the safeties from the 49ers. And I think when they come back from games, they've done it twice this year, including last week, most epically, where the safeties were the ones that were like the safety cap on top of the defense. And I think that's the bend don't break type of mentality for the safeties in San Francisco. But I think they do a really, really solid job. So that's the only team that I can see where the prevent defense is actually effective, because in fact the safeties are so, they stop the run and they go back and they're kind of flexible and tough, and they don't get fooled that many times. So it's hard to break out a pass behind them, so that's very important, obviously. So that's my take on the safeties.
Big time. All right, so you've got, let's see. So let's recap.
I'm not done.
Give me your recap.
My recap are: quarterback is Chiefs. Tight end is a tie.
Okay.
Running back 49ers.
Okay.
Wide receivers 49ers. O-line Chiefs. DL defensive line 49ers. Linebackers 49ers. Cornerbacks Chiefs. Safeties 49ers. But the intangibles. What are they? There's three main ones.
We didn't cover the intangibles, I see.
Three main ones as I consider them the three most important. There's lower intangibles, like, if someone stubs their toe in the morning, if the kicker stubs their toe on the nightstand before he kicks up, whatever. But the intangibles. Right. We're not talking turnovers. We're not talking any of that stuff, or injuries, which your favorite thing to talk about. So the intangibles, as we know them to be today, I think the Chiefs have three intangibles in their favor, in my opinion. One is they're the defending Super Bowl champions. It means something. They've been there before.
But okay. No, it doesn't. Because how many teams repeat?
Well, that's only I was saying. They could join the ranks of 4 teams that have repeated, including the Dolphins. They have repeated as Super Bowl champions. So I think it's like you said, it's legacy making. This is my next point. Mahomes wants to be, understanding he's not yet, but wants to be in the same GOAT conversation with Brady. If he ever aspires to be even close to even having a runner-up status to that conversation, he needs this game to go his way. So Mahomes himself could be the difference maker in this game. So I think that's going to be an intangible. The third thing is, and you may laugh at this, ready, I'm queuing you up to laugh. 1, 2, 3. Is the Taylor Swift?
You don't need to queue it up. Stop, you don't need to queue it up. You don't need to queue it up.
It's the Taylor Swift factor. Taylor Swift. This is her
goodness.
13th game. She's going to watch him. She doesn't mess up with 13. I believe with all this 100 million plus people positive focusing on this positive energy for their girl to be happy with the result of this game. I don't know. It's Vegas. Strange things happen. I think that could be an X factor involved as well. But I believe I'm going to give you, once you tell me your assessment of these intangibles, the prediction, the take it to the bank prediction of this game.
Okay. Here's my take. Those are the 3 dumbest intangibles I've ever heard in my life.
Insulting. Okay, but go ahead. I can't wait to have the post Super Bowl conversation.
So, what was the first one? I mean, I
no,
even forget.
All
what was
doesn't
the first
matter.
one?
It doesn't matter. The defending champion.
So, right. Okay. So first and foremost, to what I already mentioned, defending champions.
But you don't have to rebut my intangibles. You can give me your own intangible.
No, hang on. No. That's not an intangible. And if anything, that's a strike against because so few teams repeat as champions. So why would I include that as a feather in their cap that they're going to help them win? It's not going to help them win the game. If anything, it's going to deter them from winning the game.
This is subjective. This is my opinion. Not necessarily. So therefore,
yeah, I know.
Jonah,
and this is mine.
Right, but intangibles are not fact-based. They're just intangibles that I consider to be intangibles. It doesn't have to be your intangibles, So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. And then number 2,
Mahomes.
If Mahomes wants to be, yes, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does have aspirations of being the GOAT, right? He has aspirations of being better than Tom Brady, but if he actually is, he's not thinking about it in that manner. He's thinking about it just one game at a time. He's not sitting there saying, I have to win this game because I want to be better than Tom Brady. He's saying, I have to win this game because it's a football game, and I try to win every single football game. Meaning the outcome of this game has nothing to do with whether or not he wants to be better than somebody else or be thought of as in comparison with somebody else. It's just he wants to win because he wants to win. So I don't believe that's an intangible. I don't believe his desire to be better than Tom Brady is an intangible.
But the result of it, now you're getting
the third one.
But now you're getting into his mindset, which we're not in. I'm just saying.
Well, that's what you got into. That's what's making it intangible to you.
But
it's his mindset that he wants to be considered.
But you're declaring definitively that his mindset is not that, which is also not knowable. He may be thinking, I want to be the greatest ever. I got to win this game.
I know. I'm sure he does think that.
So that's an intangible to me.
And put it this way: if he does think that, and that's his reason for wanting to win this game, I think that's a strike against him. I think it's a bad reason to want to win this game.
And I don't.
I know it's in my opinion.
Wait, is that my voice?
I'm not even.
Usually you go much higher.
And the third one, I'm not even going to address. The third one, I'm not even going to address.
Well, okay, that's fine. That's how we like it, us Swifties. That's fine. So anyway, so those are my intangibles. What is you want to go first for your prediction of the score?
Sure. I've got something around the lines of like a 27, 28 to 24, somewhere in there.
So what's the score? Give me the score.
We'll call it 27 to 24.
For whom?
49ers.
Okay. I wrote this down an hour ago. I have it 27-24 Kansas City. Interesting how we're just little. The intangible could be the reason it swings by 6 points. It's interesting. All right. So 27-24, take it to the bank, guys. You could be Chiefs or Niners fans. That's a score that Sports, of course, has definitively declared to be the Super Bowl score.
But here's the thing: is the Chiefs do have an actual intangible, which is what we already talked about, which is experience, which is being at this game for the last 5 years or whatever it is. And so this is all old hat to them. This is all, no one's caught by surprise. All of the things like you mentioned, they talk about it all the time, like dealing with family member tickets and dealing with family hotels and all of these other things outside of the actual game of football. The Chiefs are like, oh yeah, this part's easy. Like they have a system
Yeah.
for this. It doesn't even bother
Yeah.
them.
Exactly right.
You know, so that is an actual, in my opinion, an actual intangible that's in their advantage. However, I just don't think, to your point, when we did the comparisons, you had the 49ers with, I think, 6 advantages to the Kansas City's 4. I had, I think, 7-3. So I just don't think they can overcome it. I don't think that Mahomes' reliance on Kelsey can be big enough, can stand out enough to overcome the rest of their deficiencies in a game of this magnitude.
That's fair. Also, the other intangible we didn't mention was like it's been this kind of, I don't say minor controversy, but a concern for the Niners, because during this week, this 10-day period, the Chiefs have been practicing at the Raiders practice field, and the Niners have been practicing at the UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas football team's field. And that field apparently is like a sponge. Like you step on it, it's like not exactly, you have no traction. It's like so that's been a huge thing that the 49ers are like, understandably concerned about what is going on. We can't really practice on this field. So that's again an unknowable condition or factor. All right. So 27-24, you heard it from us first. I'm taking the Chiefs, riding on the Mahomes Swifty Nation power, to nudge out a superior team talent-wise in the Niners. And Jonah's saying, nope, talent is going to edge out all the other intangibles and have the Chiefs lose to the Niners and have a new team.
Well, I can guarantee you this: Taylor Swift's not going to win this game.
That'll be the first thing she doesn't do in the past 2.5 years that she wants to do, which is interesting.
Fair.
We're all living in Taylor's world, honey. So that's kind of like, as I've been told this a million times. All right. So that is the other thing. Just quickly, I want to mention two things. Next week's episode, which, by the way, Joan, I haven't talked to you, but I think we should record it on Monday, the day after the Super Bowl, so we have it all fresh in our minds and just kind of just knock it out. Because we're going to be talking about not only the epic game, of course, we have the commercials. We cannot fast forward commercials in this, or mute them in this instance. We have Usher halftime show. Usher, yeah. Anyway, that's my rendition of Usher, in case you're wondering. We have, and then the minor controversies of Reba McEntire singing the national anthem. What? Anyway, and then we have, of course, and counting how many actual camera shots there is of Taylor Swift cheering on her boyfriend. So it's going to be a fun recap episode of Sports, of course, which will be our finale of season 4, episode 24, and that will be early next week on YouTube and all the other platforms that Jonah so quickly told you earlier in the broadcast. That's my recap.
I have a question. I have a question for you. In regards to the Super Bowl commercials, what is your thought, feeling, opinion on the fact that they are now releasing them ahead of the game, so you can actually watch them before the game happens?
I hate it.
Hate it.
Hate it. And I know, look, if you're spending, let's be fair, you're spending $5 million on the commercial airing, and you're spending another $1 million to produce it. You want more bang for your buck than one 30-second spot between the first quarter. I mean, I get it, but you kind of deflate the whole point of the anticipation of, and when you're back to back, when Frito-Lay has Sophia Loren rapping with Snoop, and you have Subaru with I don't know, Carlos Alcaraz playing tennis with Elmo, whatever it is. It's fun. It's surprising. It's kind of it just keeps you. That's why I love this game this day so much, because it really does tickle all the stuff I care about, which is what? Football and sports and pop culture and commerce and innovation and tech. All the stuff that kind of converges together in this one understood to be U.S. national holiday of confluence and coming together. And that's why I think it's when we kind of give away it's like reading the last line of a book before you start the book. I'm like, what's the point of that? I don't know. I don't like it. I don't mind knowing that the Clydesdales, for example, are coming back. I don't want to see the commercial until I see it because I'm going to cry. It's the dog and the horses, they're best friends, and the snowstorm. Something's going to happen tragic, and a fox will bite the dog, and the horse will save it, or something. Whatever. I'll cry. It'll be fun, and then of course I'll move on to like Charles Barkley yelling at somebody for a Snickers bar. So it's going to be.
Is this your pitch to be on an ad team?
I'm very good at this, by the way. I'm very good at. I always think of things. The two things I
sounds it.
Well, that was an absurd example. But the two things I've always felt I could do really well was SNL sketches. I think I would be a great Saturday Night Live writer to come up with sketches because I know I just at least the premise of the sketch will be really funny. Secondly, and it's true. Secondly, would be like the lead pitch guy for some brand that hires me to say, okay, we have a product that needs to be sold to 42-year-old men. How do we do this? Okay. Bikinis and beer starting. That's how we started. Anyway, so that is you can't really go wrong. How about that what about that commercial for that burger joint with Jessica, like 10 years ago or more, Jessica Simpson doing the car wash on top of the.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, it was like a little on the nose for me, but a little on. But we're still talking about it all these years later. Anyway. All right, Super Bowl. That's next week's episode.
That's not yet. Recap. We'll recap next week. What else you got for us, RPF?
I have the commerce business. I know it doesn't sound exciting, but we just 2 days ago. I know it sounds like moving on to our econ class on macroeconomics here at bullshit boring state U. No, this is about how we watch television sports or sports on television. They just came up with a deal.
Oh yes, I know where you're going. I saw this.
Okay.
Yeah.
They come up with it. Right now we have to hunt and peck all over the dial to figure out, from Peacock wildcard games, to like FS1 baseball playoff game. What the fuck is FS1? Anyway, so you have to find up and you have to go in the tennis channel for the doubles championship in tennis, but you have to go to ESPN2. It's all this stuff. So now, lo and behold, they try to make a deal where all the sports fans can just buy something like Netflix, just buy its own freestanding streaming service that all the feeder networks feed into it. Sounds genius, right?
Yep.
I'll start with a negative first. The negative start is that CBS and Amazon and NBC Peacock are not participating. So you still have NBC has most hockey games. Amazon has their Thursday Night Football. CBS has a lot of college football and all the and some other key football and PGA events.
Well, as far as the hockey goes, ESPN Plus has a ton of hockey.
That's what I'm just going to say next. Okay, but ESPN this year completely kind of changed the deal on NHL, making it more attractive. So what this mega deal is Disney, which is ESPN, all the channels, ESPN Plus, which if you're a tennis fan, all the matches are on ESPN Plus. ESPN News, the main ESPN. Then you have ABC itself, the network. ABC is part of this bundle. Then you have Fox. The actual network is on the Fox. But then you have FS1 and all the other FS channels that have soccer and all the playoffs in baseball and all that stuff. Then you have Warner Brothers, which is if you love basketball like I do, it's all those TNT, TBS. TBS is
hockey's
baseball.
on there too.
TNT's hockey, exactly. So it's a lot of stuff. In other words, they've joined forces to form a mega sports streaming service that controls the lion's share of NFL, NBA, All-Star, NHL, Grand Slam tennis, PGA, pro soccer, and the majority of MLB games. Not in the deal, as I mentioned, NBC, Peacock, and Amazon, CBS. It begins in the fall, which is right now.
So it won't control a lot of the NFL.
It controls a lot of the that's true. ESPN, it'll be Monday night. Fox, has the Sunday game.
Everything else is
everything
Fox,
else is actually
That's right.
And it doesn't control a lot of that, but it does control everything else. But it's going to be done in time for the Oh, sorry, the NFL Network. It looks like it's going to be part of this too. So the NFL Network itself. So they have their own games. You know, when
Okay.
they're
All right. So
overseas
you got
and stuff.
red zone and all that stuff.
Red zone, exactly right.
Yep.
So then you have so now they're saying it could be expensive. You know, they're projecting a $50 price tag per month, but it's supposed to start in the fall before football season. A lot can happen before then, and not before then, but including the Peacock and NBC and people fold into it, or the critics are saying, my first question when I read it, I went, doesn't this streaming bundle is basically the death blow in some ways to cable, because cable is holding it together by bundling these type of channels together. So ESPN and all their networks is bundled with HBO and bundled with so the actual cable subscriber has no choice. If you want to watch football or tennis or whatever, you have to kind of be in this bundle for a lot of money. This is going to probably dismantle. This is a death blow, kind of, or near fatal to fatal death blow. I'm talking about months, not years, away from cable being like kaput. And all of a sudden, you're on YouTube TV and you're on different things. But the critics are saying, is this streaming bundle kind of replacing the current cable bundle? Right? I mean, that's what they're doing, really. They're just replacing one system that all roads lead to another one. The difference is that this bundle is vertical, meaning if you love sports, this is the bundle for you, or they're trying to say. So I think there'll be two bundles, in my opinion. This one, and then the one that Peacock eventually will form an NBC with Amazon CBS, and that'll be another bundle. And all of a sudden you have all of sports in two streaming Netflix type channels that could keep things easy. It's either going to be on A or B, that type of thing. So I think that's the direction of this, and I think and we should do a little funeral for the end of Spectrum, cable, and all the other ones that they, and DirecTV. Who knows what's going to happen there? Because DirecTV is what I'm on, so I don't know if I like that idea. Anyway, so that's the mega deal business report from the world of sports that does impact all of us, because there's something nice about not having to find FS1 for the second wildcard game in the divisional playoff game, or whatever, It's like channel 211,
but I can't tell you,
if it runs long, you got to switch over to channel 214, and you can't DVR it because it's like, oh, come on, it's so annoying.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And
I wonder where
bars,
I wonder where golf will fit into most of this, because
golf.
Because
it's still CBS.
Golf's kind of all over the map, right? Like
NBC, CBS,
they're on NBC a lot,
and CBS.
But then they're on USA Network a lot. Like they're
that's owned by
Golf's
NBC.
Golf's one of those ones that's like
golf is owned by NBC. USA is owned by NBC. Golf has the Masters and the PGA are owned by CBS, and then the other tournaments are owned by NBC, which is all the network, which is Peacock, USA, and all the other ones that run golf. And Golf Network is NBC owned. The Golf Channel is NBC owned.
You know what's interesting? I wonder what. So if NBC isn't involved in this deal, meaning golf isn't really in PGA golf isn't really involved in this deal. I wonder if Live Golf, who's on the CW right now, figures out a way to get into this package. That could be a huge catapult for them.
Speaking of golf, nice segue for us. Our next segment, a little clip as I was preparing for this.
I give and I give and I give.
You do. Very impressive. PGA. I need your nimble fingers, Jonah, to look something up for us.
Oh. Okay.
On Google, on your favorite G word. The PGA. Okay. I just read something in passing. I could not have read it correctly. I just want you to confirm with me. It's always been a myth about how many holes in one all these golfers have done in their career. Tiger has had 3, I believe, during tournaments, during sanctioned PGA events, and he claims 20 total in practice rounds. Plausible. Tiger Woods. Nicholas claims 20, 21 in that area. Everyone, all the top players, and he had 5. I think Nicholas had 5 during. Arnold Palmer had, I believe, 5 or 6. He claims 20, 21. They're all in the same ballpark. Kind of, it's still remarkable if you think about it. Anyone who plays golf to have 20 holes in one in a lifetime, it's just crazy. Now, Cut to Phil Mickelson, who claims, who by the way, he's only had 3 in competition in PGA Tour events. 3. He claims to have, wait for it, gird your loins. He says he's had 51 holes in one. The Athletic today said, do you think he's full of BS or do you believe him? I said full of BS. Unless he counts like the gimmies that are within 3 yards of the hole as holes in one, it's likelier that the Loch Ness Monster will descend during the Usher performance at the Super Bowl than Phil Mickelson having 51 holes in one. I am sorry. I love the guy. Personality can't be better. Controversies up and down. I love the fact that he is a southpaw playing golf. All of that. Not a chance he's had 51 holes in one. Unless he tells me the criteria for his hole in one is a little different than what we consider to be a hole in one. What's your take?
Right. Is he including like the little par 3 courses? Like I know there's one, they're all over the place, but I know there's one at like Pinehurst down in North Carolina where they're par 3. They're like the holes are like 40 yards and like in 30 yards.
He's including
counting all those too.
he's including putt golf with his kids. I'm telling you right now, his grandkids. he's including, like, he went over the windmill and through the brook and did a hole in one. I mean, he's including like a video game, like a Madden version of PGA. I don't know what he's including, but it's not actual golf, in my opinion. But anyway, again, nothing. It's hard to disprove something like that. That is so absurd. How can you disprove it? Because I don't know, logic and just human capability and odds, mathematical odds of this happening or being true. So anyway,
mathematical odds.
And to add everything else, just remarkably, there's another player, which I don't even recall his name because he's not one of those players that I even know, remarkably claiming more holes in one than Phil Mickelson, which is even more laughable in many ways. Anyway, so that's why I want you to confirm in your Google search if you had that, if I had that right.
Oh, well, I mean, even if it confirms on Google, does that matter?
No, it confirms that it's 51 that he claims to be the number.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Put Phil Mickelson full of shit. How's that for a Google search?
Google that. The first thing that pops up says 47.
Okay. Whoa, I stand corrected. 47. Okay. It's more than more than double than any other player has ever claimed. Except one schmuck. Except one guy. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Hard
to say.
Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that little tidbit about PGA goodness in the sea of nonsense. Why are golfers? By the way, tennis players are kind of like basically minding their business on the court. They kind of have moments of, you have personalities up there. But PGA is the opposite. They have no personalities on a golf course. They leave the golf course and they're like insane. They're crazy people. These golfers say the most whack stuff all the time. Meanwhile, on the course, they're like wearing polyester plaid pants and being excited about a 4-foot break and the putt. So, I mean, it's so weird. Tennis is like, it's all the intensity and just like this like exhaustion 5-hour marathon matches, and they have intensity during the match, but then they go off court and they're more or less normal people. And PGA is backwards. They're like normal people on the course and complete lunatics once they leave those links. It's just funny. Unlike you, actually, you play golf and you're relatively normal. Well, actually, that's not true. You've been probably like kicked off more golf courses than anyone I know.
There, was I on mute?
You were. Good thing. I think you're under your agreement for the parole board. Exactly. You cannot deny or confirm anything.
We should keep it that way.
Under the conditions of your release, you are not allowed to mention any golf incidents within the past 5 years, including any potential gummies or alcoholic beverages or any birthday parties that you had went overboard on the fairway. Okay, So now you
Oh
have.
man,
I hear you have a rumored comment about the NHL.
I do. So the NHL just had their All-Star game, which, by the way, they did a very good job on. They've made a couple changes too. Um, I won't get into them, but because that's not the point of what I'm bringing up. But what I am saying is it kind of signifies we're a little bit beyond halfway in the NHL season, and so now after the break, right? Same thing with the NBA. Now after the break, things really start to get rolling and heating up and moving into playoffs and stuff like that. And so I was like, yeah, let me go in and check and see where everyone's at before the chaos starts sort of unfolding a little bit. And I noticed something very, very intriguing, and that was the Edmonton Oilers.
I just gonna tell you that.
If we go back to December 19th, the Edmonton Oilers were 13, 15, and however many overtime win or losses they had, or however they score that, I forget. But they had 13 wins and 15 losses. They lost last night to the Vegas Knights, one game short of the NHL record for win streaks. They rattled off 16 in a row and now sit at 29 and 16 and whatever the third number is. But just it's one of those things that like was going way under the radar, at least in my world. But has catapulted them from basically the basement into, I think they're in fourth place in the conference. And obviously very much in the conversation of playoffs, and just something I just wanted to bring up so that the non-hockey world kind of is aware of. Yeah,
it's a great point because that's and I want to repeat it just because people who may not follow it that carefully. This was a team that was thinking of firing their head coach, that had literally had nothing going for it. They had a lot of promise preseason if things fell a certain way, but nothing happened correctly for them. They had and their fan base is very loyal. They've been long-suffering Edmonton fans there, as you know. Edmonton, it's a kind of like a western town in Canada, and all of a sudden they had former glory, of course, way back when the great one himself, Wayne Gretzky was a
Vigo, if you will, Vigo of Ghost,
yeah.
if you will.
In fact, he's better than Tom Brady. I'll say it right now. I'll say it right now.
100%.
He is the GOAT. Period.
We debated this on.
We did. Episode 2.
We debated this on, I forget what season it was, but
season 1, episode 2.
It wasn't this year. I mean, this goes way back, but yeah.
Season 1, yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so the point is that Edmonton Oilers has a long-suffering fan base, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, to Jonah's point, they were sub 500, kind of middle of the pack to the middle bottom of the pack. They rattle off 16 straight victories in hockey. How difficult is that? Never been done once before in the entire history. Not any of these, mythic teams, or the Bruins, or the Rangers, or the Maple Leafs, or the Canadiens, and Blackhawks. Yeah. All those teams that were so dominant, the Kings, and actually the Oilers back then. No one's ever come close to this except for one team. They unexpectedly tie this record, and then they go into Vegas, which is one of the preseason favorites to get to the Stanley Cup Finals again and repeat as champions. They did lose 3-1 last night, but to your point, this is why hockey and sports are so interesting. It's never clear. So in a similar way, all of a sudden, in the basketball realm, all the teams are kind of like in the same place in the hockey season. They're like we're at the halfway mark. All of a sudden, all these teams that were kind of coasting along, they all of a sudden snap into attention. Now all of a sudden there's 3-game winning streaks from all the top 8 teams that should be winning every game. Right? All of a sudden everyone's like paying attention. So that's going to be. This is a season to me.
Right.
When after the Super Bowl and before tax day. John, that's April 15th, in case you're wondering when that day is. Actually, that's when, to me, that is when hockey and basketball take over, right? That's the really intense, including, of course, in college basketball, March Madness. So it's a very, very fun time to kind of just start paying attention to those sports, because that's going to be, now's the time. Like for my favorite team, for the Miami Heat in basketball, Jimmy Butler, the past 3 games, I just posted about this on my social media. at Richard Perez Feria, actually is now woken up. It's Jimmy Butler time, as I called it. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. Jonah, I can't see you.
Refresh your page.
Can I? Okay, hang on. You said to reload the site, changes you made may not be saved. Is that okay?
I don't know. It says it's recording right now.
I'm a 90. Mine says 99% uploading for me.
All right, we'll just keep going then.
Okay. Yeah. So how much did you hear what I said? I was talking about Miami Heat.
Yeah, top
Jimmy
teams
Butler.
started paying
Did
attention.
you hear any of that?
That was about it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just start there. As I mentioned, in also basketball, this is the time between between the Super Bowl and tax day is that when actually basketball and hockey are full bore because all the teams start paying attention, all the top tier teams really get serious. In fact, I just posted about this. My favorite team in basketball is Miami Heat, of course, and Jimmy Butler is our star player. He's playing lights out the past 3 games, so he calls it Jimmy Butler time. That's exactly right. People start paying attention. The teams start paying attention. Everyone's sharply focused. And now there's like 7, 8 teams in the NBA and at least half a dozen in the NHL that are just talent-rich teams that you're expecting to play well every game. And sometimes it's hard to do that, sustain that throughout the whole season. Now they're playing well. So between now and their playoff run, which is going to be in the end of March, this is going to be a really, really fun time to start paying attention to those sports.
Yeah, for sure. As always. RPF, should we get into your Aaron Rodgers award?
Oh, gladly.
Tantalizing.
The Aaron Rodgers Asshole of the Week. The Aaron Rodgers Memorial Asshole of the Week award goes to this week, drum roll please, to speaking of Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn
Goodman.
Goodman.
I saw this.
Let me give you some historical context before I. No, but I have a historical context. I have lived in Las Vegas. I've had, as I call it, 2 tours of duty in Sin City. I've lived there 2 stretches of time. Okay, right, you did. I think we kind of overlapped 1 year, according to your wife, and I probably saw you and just ran the other way. But anyway, Las Vegas. So, as you know, when you were there, when I was there the first time around, it was Oscar Goodman was the mayor of Las Vegas. Oscar Goodman is this larger-than-life lunatic. I would say character, but he's a lunatic. He was mayor from 1999 to 2011. So for 12 years, he was mayor of the fastest-growing city in the United States. This is a guy that would show up to a new school being built to put this first shovel in the ground and show up with 4 showgirls behind him in bikinis and full headdress as he was putting a shovel in the ground. Which, of course, because he's literally the biggest promoter of old school Las Vegas, the perception of Las Vegas. He's the one that was sanctioned, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, which, of course, the second time around I was there, the whole tourism bureau was trying to somehow put the genie back in the bottle of that promotion because they wanted to promote that they had more schools and more churches and more family-friendly environment. And, what they should promote is they have more dirt than any city and more Home Depots in every square block. Like Home Depots there are like Starbucks. It's terrifying. Anyway, so this is Oscar Goodman. He was quasi-corrupt. said nutty things, but we never, it's Vegas. So people kind of eye rolled it. I interviewed him when he was mayor for my magazine. All right. Ridiculous person. Completely unserious. So what happens? In 2011, he steps down and his wife, Carolyn Goodman, wins the mayor's race. Okay. You go from nutty Oscar Goodman to full on whack job in Carolyn Goodman. She is off the rails lunatic. Okay. She's been mayor, still mayor, since 2011. So let me be clear about this. For the last quarter century and counting, the Goodmans, which by the way is my new show on Netflix, I'm going to develop called The Goodmans. The Goodmans have been in charge of the most dynamic, arguably the most dynamic, fastest growing megalopolis on the planet, rich of the top 100 restaurants, the best shopping in the world, pro sports, the center of adult entertainment, all of that led by Mr. and Mrs. Whackjob. Okay, so here we are. Carolyn, you can Google Carolyn Goodman's litany of interviews that she says literally, I can't even describe it to you. I mean, put it to you. Nothing that at a Trump rally you ever heard there is nearly close to what Carolyn Goodman says. It's just lunacy. All right. Carolyn Goodman just yesterday said the following. She said, let me go back. The Oakland A's, after painstaking years-long process of dismantling themselves and giving the Bay Area every opportunity to retain them, the voters voted against it. The city council voted against it. The A's have nowhere to go. They said, you know what? Vegas is saying, come to us. And Vegas is shiny and new stadium and new everything. This is years and years and years in the making. Finally, they announced that they're going to Vegas. So this is a done deal. By the way, signed and delivered, done. So what did she say yesterday? Oh yeah, that deal of the A's coming to Vegas does not make any sense whatsoever. Quote. Further, she says, the A's need to figure out a way to stay in Oakland. We don't want them here. This is the mayor of Las Vegas saying this to a team that already is moving to Las Vegas. This is of all the winners of my Aaron Rodgers Memorial Asshole of the Week award. This is the runaway winner of all the entire season so far. What a lunatic this person is. I implore you, go on YouTube and search Carolyn Goodman crazy. And just tell me what pops up. Because it's literally, and this won't even make the top 10. But for our world in sports, of course, this is just lunacy.
So RPF, I have a little quick hit of my own. Have you I'm sure you have actually. Now that I'm saying this, and it's coming out of my mouth. Have you by any chance seen your new defensive coordinator?
You mean Anthony Weaver, my BFF, Tony Weaver? I mean, are you kidding me?
I didn't know you were BFFs. I'm sorry.
Well, soon to be. I mean, not since Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek came up to town. Although, to be fair, Vic Fangio, last year's DC, was a big news for us as well.
Right.
And he moved on to the Eagles. But yeah, Anthony Weaver not only was he the defensive line coach for the mighty Baltimore Ravens, which arguably had the best defensive line of all their assets they had. That was the best part about them. But also, he was the assistant head coach. So I don't mind having an adult in the room with Coach McDaniel, sitting there kind of being him, So I think it's, right. I don't know. I have a feeling this is going to be that secret sauce. Plus, of course, not having 75 career-ending or year-ending injuries would be nice for our star players. But yeah, I think that's going to be very, very something to watch. Maybe a little under the radar, but interesting. Because I think that all the hype for Vic Fangio last season that didn't quite pan out for all these reasons that are valid, perhaps. But maybe he's the guy that has the stars aligned for him, and he's able to lead that side of the ball to the heights of the offensive line of the offense as well. So I don't know. So I'm actually excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I bring him up, in fact, because I have a little factoid about him.
I'm sure you told me already.
Listeners may or may not know, I live in I live in Saratoga Springs, New York, which you did as well at one point. Anthony Weaver went to high school less than 1 mile from where I'm sitting right now.
In prison?
He is a graduate of Saratoga Springs High School.
So many of my buddies were Saratoga Springs High graduates. Oh my God, that is such big news. Clearly, he should be a cover story for one of
Yeah,
those
pretty
magazines
cool.
up there. Yeah, very, very cool. I wonder
You
who
would
should write
think.
that story. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You would think. Speaking of football, by the way, and coaching, this reminds me. Just breaking now.
Yes.
Nick Saban, the GOAT NCAA head coach, is just signed a huge, I don't know, multi-trillion-dollar contract to be a commentator on ESPN. So that should be interesting because Nick Saban, like
Oh,
him,
wow.
revere him, or loathe him. That's my category. Um, he's still interesting. He's very good. He's very good. He's very kind of cold shower guy. I call it. He's very blunt with his assessments of what's happening in front of him.
Yeah.
Which I like. I think that's kind of like the Tony Romo thing. I like too because they don't mince words and kind of just get excited about the game. That's
Yeah.
Nick Saban. So I think he should be fun to watch. In contrast to the parade of old white men that they have there, another old white man could actually be exciting there. So I think that's going to be good. Oh, I want to end.
That's interesting, guys.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Hang on, real quick.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had my fingers crossed for and I saw it on the social interwebs, was the idea of, because Saban and Belichick were both jobless at the time, but the idea of Saban and Belichick teaming up and doing essentially a bar rescue situation where they go around to college teams and fix the programs around the country.
I want to see their own Manning cast for all the games and just basically sit there.
Oh my gosh!
And basically Nick Saban talking through everything, and Bill Belichick just staring at him, saying, "Pass the chips." It'd be like
that was a great play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good. He hit the tackle. Yeah. All right. Listen. So just released also was a very interesting thing. The top 100 paid athletes for 2023 across all sports. So here's talk
does
about
this
fun
include
stuff.
like endorsements and everything?
Everything. What they rate in that year. Okay. Top 10.
Got it. Yep.
Patrick Mahomes with 84 million. By the way, with that dad bod, that's 84 million. That's not bad. You've seen the whole controversy about his dad bod. It's like very funny.
Yes,
Kevin Durant, number 9 at 87 million. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks superstar, 88 million, basketball player. Steph Curry, another basketball, 99 million. Can you imagine? I beat Steph Curry, collecting, and the accountant tells me it's 99 million. I'm like, dude, you couldn't get me another million? I mean, honestly.
If I'm
at 97 hovering December 10th, get me an endorsement deal for some Taiwanese beer or something. Give me a break. Anyway, I'd be like all over that. Neymar, soccer superstar, at 121 million. And Mbappe, my favorite name, and also superstar soccer player, at 125 million. 126 million. See, LeBron's accountant knows what's up. He's at 125, tied with Mbappe, and he said, "Hey, you're endorsing some, Tylenol in South Korea." Done. All right. So LeBron took in 126 million to land at number 4. Top 4 is better than top 5. And then we have number 3, my other BFF, Leo Messi, the soccer football player.
Wondering where he was.
130 million. This was, to me, the single most surprising one, and I guess it shouldn't be in retrospect, considering what's happening with all those mergers with what's the word? Murderers. John Ram, golfer, is at 203 million at number 2. 203 million in 1 year. Are you kidding me? And he wears polyester pants. I just can't. I can't get past it. All right. And number 1,
he doesn't even really do endorsements either.
You don't see him everywhere. Who the hell is John Ram? I mean, you ask the average casual fan of sports, they would look at you like John Ram plays hockey somewhere. He has no idea. So Cristiano Ronaldo, the prettiest person on this list, and number 1, 275 million. Is it surprising that the top 2 athletes have, what's the word, Saudi money at their disposal? Anyway, so then we go into other interesting. Then we go behind the numbers. Inside scoop here. So we have the NBA
Okay.
leads all the sports with 40 of the top 100 players being NBA players. NFL 16, baseball 13, soccer 11, golf 10, boxing 6, F1 2, and tennis 2. Only Rafa Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz, not the evil overlord Djokovic. Interesting. So then we go into the breakdown. The top 100 earn an estimated 5.4 billion, with 4.2 billion coming from salary or prize money, and 1.2 million coming from endorsements. Don't you think that would have been reversed in your mind? That endorsements are a bigger deal than prize money? I think the golf here tipped the scale because that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
And my favorite one,
Yeah. I don't think it would be reversed. I think it would be more equal.
Right, exactly. I think it'd be, but this is pretty 4.2 versus 1.2. That's all right. And then the interesting one for me are two of my favorite athletes, the youngest and the oldest on the list. The youngest is 20-year-old Carlos Alcaraz, who lands at number 56 with a cool 42 million. Not bad for your first full year of playing tennis. $42 million. I mean, that's like, hello, Louis Vuitton. You know,
Yeah.
you go, Louis Vuitton.
Can't even pick up the bar tab.
Can he? Right. Well, in Spain you can, but anyway. And then the oldest is gonna win the Masters this year. Is Tiger Woods, and remarkably to me, he hasn't played golf since last year's Masters. By the way, he's playing this weekend coming up in LA, which is a tournament he hosts anyway.
Right,
but,
I saw that.
Right. So Tiger hasn't played since last year's Masters, and he ranks number 14 with a cool, how much is it? 77 million. Not doing anything. That's like some serious. That's like that's like Bill Gates shit. You sit there and not do anything and make $77 million. I mean, I'll take that job. Anyway, but of course you have to do a lot before that to get to that point. But still, anyway, I thought you find it interesting. Oh, the last bad news. I mean, weird news, unbelievable news in some ways. There's not a single woman in the top 100 athletes who made this list.
Yeah, that's awful.
For 17 years,
that's really
it's been
awful.
Serena and Venus Williams were high on the list, and then Naomi Osaka, Maria Sharapova, all these female tennis players. None of them are playing. They're all kind of these, I remember these multitude of ovas. I think if I had to guess, Coco Gauff might sneak in next year or this coming year. I think she's ascending. She's definitely, I've seen her in more endorsements. She's beautiful and she's an amazing athlete. She won the U.S. Open. So I think she's the one that's going to be breaking through. But still, 1 or 0 out of 100, that we got to do better, right? So that's not kosher. There's so many soccer players, so many great basketball players that are women. It's just not kosher. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that little tidbit of Carlos Alcaraz and Tiger Woods. That's the scope of my fandom, and they're the youngest and oldest on this list. Interesting.
That covers the gamut for sure.
To me.
Yeah.
And by the way, thank you for throwing me the little Miami Dolphins bone at the end here. That was kind of like I was missing my Dolphins.
Yeah. Hey, well, when it ties in nicely to where I'm physically located. I mean, literally, the high school it's less than a mile from where I am.
So what you're saying is Anthony Weaver is to you what Taylor Swift is to me, in a sense, because your worlds are colliding.
No, because Taylor Swift didn't go to your high school.
You don't know that.
Well, to be fair, Anthony Weaver didn't go to my high school. He went to the high school in where I live. But
he's a high school that your daughter will be soon attending at some point.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Future alma mater of yours.
However, Taylor Swift did go to the high school where my daughter originally would have gone to.
In Nashville?
Yep.
Interesting.
When Joey was born, we were living in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and Taylor Swift went to Hendersonville High School when she was.
She did, yeah, exactly.
Before I think she dropped out at like 16 to do homeschooling.
You're such a Swiftie. You're such a Swiftie. That's high level Swiftie knowledge stuff. Unbelievable. You know everything about Taylor. You love Taylor Swift. From that high school, I lived
from that high school, I lived about a mile from that New Shackle Island Road, right down, and then you take a left, and then you take another left, and that's my house.
By the way, on Howard Stern, quick aside, I was watching the Bruce Springsteen interview, and Springsteen was saying how he landed after a world tour. He was exhausted. His daughter picked him up at Newark Airport, and Howard's like, "You fly commercial?" He goes, "You should too, Howard." Anyway, so he lands at Newark Airport. She picks him up, and they're driving down. They're driving down to their vacation house or wherever they're going to. It's a couple-hour drive from Newark Airport. He said, and she's a huge Swiftie. He says, and she just said, "Dad, the latest album just dropped. I'm gonna." So we literally, she had the volume on 10,000 decibels, and I'm like thinking, I'm so jet lagged, I'm so whatever, but I'm sitting here thinking, this is the best music I've ever heard. He said, "I am so." She is a brilliant. Howard's like, "Did you really like it? Come on, just between us." He's like, "No. She is a once in a generation poet. She's amazing. She's Dylan. She's Carole King. She is amazing." The song. Anyway, she went on and on. Anyways, that's Bruce Springsteen. If I'm getting that quote from Bruce Springsteen, I'm pretty happy with my career. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, it's kind of funny how I was saying I just want to get home, and meanwhile, when I got home, when we got to our place, we'd sit in the car until the song ended because we loved the song so much. So anyway, it's a cool story. Another why Taylor Swift is everything. Anyway.
Yes. And you know what, RPF, on that note, we should end the show right now. You're too high. You're on too high of a note. The Dolphins came up without you bringing them up. The Dolphins have been mentioned. Taylor Swift has been mentioned.
I'm a happy man.
Carlos Alcaraz and Tiger Woods were mentioned in the same sentence. We need to end it right now.
And my BFF, Anthony Weaver.
And your new BFF, Anthony Weaver. So with all of that said, thank you so much for listening this week. We hope you enjoy it. We know we did. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the great platforms. You can also find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports of Course into the search bar, and we'll pop right up for your listening pleasure. And be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all the great things, share, tell everyone, tell the world. Watch all the episodes, get caught up. There's I don't know how many there are at this point, like 150. And they said we wouldn't last.
They said we watch the Super Bowl, people. This is a big week.
Watch the Super Bowl. All right, commercials next week. I'm out.
Bye.